Hi, my name is Deb Crow, and I'm coming to you from Canada, and I'm a work-life balance expert. And I'd like to start by thanking Lucas Robak for including me in the Wisconsin Holistic Expo. It was an honor to be asked to be part of this collaborative book effort and to offer my expertise. So I'm working from two screens here, so I'm going to do a 30-minute overview of work-life balance. I think the first thing I'd like you to do is take the word balance and maybe think of words like fit or rhythm. In the chapter that I wrote in Lucas's Expo book, I talked about finding the unbalance and how sometimes we have to ebb and flow through our life because life will hand us emergencies and trauma and loss, and it's all about how you choose to deal with it. So I'd like to run you through a PowerPoint presentation that I have, and I just want to talk to you about work-life balance so that I can give you an overview of maybe how you can start implementing strategies and really focus and hone in on the unbalance because we all have it in our lives. Our lives are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and technology has done nothing but promote us to be on all the time. And we're not machines, we're human beings, and we need to have breaks. So my goal at the end of the 30 minutes is that you have a better understanding about your own work-life balance. I will put you through an assessment and how you can bounce back from the unbalance because it's completely possible. But like anything else in our lives, you have to do an assessment and a self-inventory, and we need a baseline. We need to know where you're at in your life right now before we can implement any changes. So let me tell you a little bit about my story. I was a medical case manager for 23 years. I absolutely loved my job. I worked with clients that had brain injury, spinal cord injury, and each year I got a little bit busier, and I was very grateful for that. And I saw adults and children. So my role would be to help them once they got discharged from the hospital, reintegrate back into the community, and I would put a team together that could be physiotherapy, occupational therapy, speech language therapy, etc. And we would rehabilitate that individual to the best that we could as a team. But over the years, working with insurance companies and finance companies and lawyers, it just became a very burnout job. So for me, I call it being on the edge of the cliff, and I even gave it a name and I called it stress.com. I was to the point where I wasn't enjoying the job anymore, and I just could not take on another client. So I made a conscious decision to have a 2-year plan to exit my business and no longer do that type of work. I had nothing left for anybody. And what I realized was that I got so succumbed by the job that I lost my work-life balance. It was completely non-existent. So I'm going to share with you a quote that I would like you to write down or think about. It's on my website at debcrow.com, and Crow has an E on the end. And I'm just going to read it to you. So this is my definition of work-life balance, and it's evolved over a 5-year period for how long I've been doing this work. And this is, in my eyes, the true definition. So work-life balance is working to earn money to enable your ability to grow and have the opportunity to have every element of your life in equal or proper amount of importance. So just ruminate on that and think about the words. Now, the goal is that you can listen to that definition, but it's being able to adapt and ebb and flow with what's happening in your life. So let's talk about a work-life balance assessment. Now, this is a tool that I use individual one-on-one when I'm doing coaching. I also do a lot of work with small to large companies, and I work with their disability management folks as well as their HR department. A lot of folks are off on short-term disability claims due to stress. And the reason is they're just trying to keep up at home with their life at home as well as the demands of their job. And it just gets to the point where people can't do it anymore. So what I want to do is that if you are finding it difficult to have balance, I want to let you know that you're not alone, and LinkedIn has done several studies on this. And I can tell you from my own country in Canada that according to our Canadian Mental Health Association, 58% of people working full time have claimed that they are stressed, overworked, and they don't know which way to turn anymore. They're pulled in both directions. So I'm just going to move my screen here a little bit. I'm going to give you 10 questions, and I'm going to give you a scoring mechanism, and I will tell you what the score means and what word will go with it. So question number 1 is, so grab a pen and a paper, and here's the first question. I feel that I have little or no control over my work life. So if you agree with me, you get a 0. If you disagree, you get a 1. Question number 2. I regularly enjoy hobbies or interests outside of my work. If you agree with me, you get a 1. If you disagree, you get a 0. Question number 3. I often feel guilty because I can't make time for everything I want to do. If you agree with me, you get a 0. If you disagree, you get a 1. Question number 4. I frequently feel anxious or upset because of what is happening at my workplace. 0 if you agree, 1 if you disagree. Question number 5. I usually have enough time to spend with my loved ones. You get 1 point if you agree, 0 if you disagree. Question number 6. When I'm at home, I feel relaxed and comfortable. 1 if you agree, 0 if you disagree. Question number 7. I have time to do something just for me every week. 1 if you agree, 0 if you disagree. Question number 8. On most days, I feel overwhelmed and overcommitted. 0 if you agree, 1 if you disagree. Number 9, I rarely lose my temper at work. 1 if you agree, 0 if you disagree. And the last question, number 10, I never use all my allotted vacation days. 0 if you agree, 1 if you disagree. So what this means is I'm trying to figure out, are you in balance? So let me tell you what the scores mean. So take a couple of seconds and add up your score, and then I'll let you know what the score means. So if you scored 0 to 3, I think it's evident your life is out of balance. You need to make some significant changes to find your equilibrium. The good news is you can start now and take control, and I'm going to give you some strategies. If you scored between 4 and 6, you're keeping things under control, but barely. So now's the time to take some action before you're knocked out of balance. If you scored 7 to 10, you are on the right track. You've been able to achieve work-life balance, which is awesome, but now you need to protect it. And we're going to talk about that as well. So I want to give you 3 tips to write down to stay in balance. So my first tip is schedule brief breaks throughout the day just for you. Disconnect, take the headset off, get up from your desk, walk around. Just allow your mind a cognitive break from the work that you're doing throughout the workday. My second tip is to turn off your cell phone and to also leave your laptop at work. When you go home, you need to disconnect from the workday. And I realize that there's some vocations that can't do that, but it's very, very important that you make a concerted effort to do that because you don't want to have your worlds overlapping like that. My third tip for staying in balance is you have to create and implement a household budget. This is a very stressful element that I see in a lot of my coaching clients, as well as some of my insurance clients that I'm working with off on short-term disability. Money is really a number one stressor for people. So let's talk about stress, and let's talk about stress resilience and some of the decisions that you might make, and maybe you think it's time for a change. We're also going to talk about boundary management, which is a big comment and topic that I'm often asked about. So when we talk about stress resilience, those are some of the things that you need to think about that are causing you stress, and what strategies, what compensatory strategies can you put in place? The first one is what I just talked about. If you have a cell phone for work, and you have to carry it at home, then you need to speak with your employer that after 5 o'clock, you are not taking any phone calls. And I understand for people that work in the medical field or perhaps are a first responder, I know there's always an extenuating circumstance, but that would certainly be a good place to start. It would help you with what I call work-life fit so that you can leave your job truly, physically, and completely and go home and enjoy your family time, which is very important. Another thing I want to really hone in on is boundary management. And again, if we speak about employee employer, is a lot of employers sometimes want those answers or they want those quick emails. And that is something where you have to implement boundary management so that your employer knows when you go home, you're going to deal with those things tomorrow, because after 5 o'clock is your family time or your me time or whatever you slot it as. And that's very, very important that you implement those boundaries so that they're not taken advantage of and you're really able to keep the balance in your life and not head off into a place of unbalance. So, some of the places of unbalance that my clients have seen is certainly through losing a loved one. And I work in palliative care at a hospice in a volunteer capacity. And I can tell you that caregiving is exhausting, and being with your loved one near the end is very, very emotional and it's very exhausting. And that's where I see a lot of my clients and work with some of the companies who have staff who've been off. So, my best advice is sometimes you just have to lean into what's going on in your life and you have to accept that trauma or that loss. It doesn't mean that it's going to make it any easier, but you can't go over things. You have to go through them. And I have a very dear friend who wrote a book with that exact title. And it is difficult, but the good news is when you're experiencing the unbalance and you're in the middle of it and you're raw and you're angry and you're grieving, you're best to just lean in and be in that space because that's where you're meant to be. And there's no time lineage. You grieve for as long as you need to grieve, and you will return to your normal activities of daily living and your schedule and your work-life balance. So being off balance isn't a bad thing because 9 times out of 10, we don't have control over that. Life is going to happen. It's going to hand us different situations and scenarios and emergencies. And it's not so much how you get through it or when you get back on track, it's the coping strategies that you have during that are really going to make the difference. So you don't have to worry about your normal schedule of balance when these things happen. You just have to ebb and flow and know that you will get back on track when the time is right for you. So I wanted to share with you some neat things that some of the companies that I've worked with are doing. Volkswagen has implemented a wonderful protocol. And when their staff, especially their middle to upper management, goes home, they are turning off the email so that emails will not come on their iPhone. And therefore, they're not disturbed. They're not infringing on their time when they're not at the company, which I think is great. Daimler Chrysler has also done the same thing. I have read numerous articles that Netflix has also revoked, if you will, or removed is probably a better word, their holidays, and that their staff knows what their work responsibilities and duties are. So as long as they get them done, I do not believe that they're set hours. And I also think that they can take holidays whenever they want. So I'm really seeing a shift with the millennials that the millennials really have balance. They are with their children. They're taking paternity leave. It's a much different generation, and I really see the family time and just the family unit being valued like it was back in the 60s. And I think we're seeing a bit of a repeat that way with the millennials, and I really take my hat off to them because I really think that they have it together, and I think their values and their core beliefs are right where they should be. Another interesting movement with companies is sastodeal.com. It's from India, and they have introduced a menstrual leave. Yes, you heard me correctly, menstrual leave. So if any of their female staff, it's a big call center, is having any difficulties with their menstrual cycle, they let them leave and work from home. So they're taking benevolent and work-life balance to another level because they're completely honing in on difficulties that women are having. And I just think that's wonderful. And it's interesting to see the way you might look at it. So let's talk about the different areas of your life and where you may or may not have balance. I can tell you for most of my clients, one of the big areas is self-care, and fitness is number one. We are now aging and living longer. People are taking care of themselves. People are realizing that to be truly healthy in this life is to have your health. So I'm a big fitness lover, and I always encourage my clients to move every day. Even if it's only 20 minutes, half an hour, we are a sedentary, technology dependent society, and we need to change that. So 20 minutes a day. I also encourage a lot of my clients that sit all day to drink their water. So you take your body weight. So let's say you're 150 pounds. You divide it by 2. That's 75. That's how many ounces of water you need to drink every day just to flush your body weight. So anything you do above and beyond half your body weight is awesome. So drinking that water will also allow you to go to the washroom on a regular basis, hence getting you up from your desk, which is great. So I'm thinking every 15 to 20 minutes is what I like to do, and it helps me with productivity, it helps me with time management. And again, I'm working away on certain tasks, and then when I'm done that 20 minutes or 25 minutes of time, I get up from my desk. It's a great strategy, it's simple, and it's a no-brainer, but it works. And I'm stretching. I might lean my back against the wall and do some squats. I have friends that are doing planking in their office, so you can get as creative as you want. The next thing I want to talk to you about is just going back to the word balance. I think work-life balance has been choked to death. So, for me, I've had clients that say, let's call it work-life fit. I've had other colleagues write about work-life rhythm. Whatever that word is for you, that's not going to have a negative connotation. That's the word that you need to have and implement into your life. I think work-life balance is possible because I'm living it. I lecture about it. I've written about it. And the main thing is you have the same time as me. You have 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week. That's 168 hours. When you really sit and think about how much sleep you get, how much you work, etc., when you break that down into all the different areas of work-life balance, the two most important areas that lack space are spiritualness, and that can be church for some people, it can be meditation. It's a very personal element. And the other one is self-care. And most men and women, there is no time allocated out of that 168 hours for self-care. So that is a bit scary to me, because if our cup is empty, even half empty, we're not running at maximum capacity. So how could we possibly help our friends, our family, our colleagues? How do we really do a good job when we're sleep deprived? We're taking no self-care. Is this you? Am I talking to you right now? Is this your life and you're trying to figure out how to fit it all in? Work-life balance is about progression. It is not about perfection. And the sooner that you embrace that quote and realize that you wake up every day with gratitude, you do the best you can through the workday, and then you end the day with gratitude. And whatever you didn't get done, the good news is it can be moved till tomorrow. It's taking that pressure, and I don't know where that pressure comes from. I don't know if it's generational. I know for people born baby boomers and Gen X, my generation, I know that there's some core beliefs and there's a work ethic that's there that we need to keep working hard and doing things to the point where we can't even stand anymore. Or, the sleep deprivation is another huge one. Most people in North America live on 4 to 5 hours of sleep. There's no quality sleep happening. And what's beside their bed? Their iPhone. So, again, just to reiterate, we have become that technology dependent society, which I'm really encouraging you to unplug, take a break. We are not meant to be on like we're on. So, I want you to think about it. Are you on 24/7, 7 days a week? What does your 168 hours look like? Have you tracked your time? Do you work full time? Do you work part time? Do you work seasonally? Figure out how many hours you work in a week. I have a chart that you can download from my website. If you go to debcrowe.com, so DEBCROWE.com, if you email me, I will share my 1 week chart with you. There's going to be a sign up sheet at the back of the room where you can put your name and information, and I will send the information once it's collected by Lucas. So that's something that we can do. And I try and write a weekly blog on all elements of work-life balance. And you know what? I'm going to be completely transparent with you. Some weeks I can't fit it in, but I don't feel bad about that because I think I'm going to be more real and more authentic talking to you and actually living my truth by what I tell you, what strategies I give you. They work. I volunteer at hospice, so I've witnessed the lowest of the low and people grieving with unbalance, etc. So I'm being completely truthful to you to say that I feel that I live authentically with work-life balance, and I will share my day with you. I normally wake up at 6 a.m. and I allow myself 15 minutes, and I wake up and I have my gratitude journal that I like to fill out. And then I slowly get up and I start with hot lemon water. I like to start my day with hydration, and lemon just gives my body a wonderful start. It gives my metabolism a kickstart, and it's quite a nice hot beverage to have in the morning. And then by 7 a.m., I'm at the gym, and I work out till 8, and then I shower and get ready and go to my office. And then I work all day. And then I also, some nights I will have things, some nights I don't. But I try and keep myself balanced so that I'm not booked too much in the evening, because I try and keep things through the day, but some clients can only see me at night, so that's okay. I'm able to ebb and flow. I also try and give back to my community. I run a very large group on LinkedIn. It's called the London, Ontario Professional Network, and we have 4,400 members. And we get together every quarter, and we always have a philanthropy slant to that. And we give back to our community in many different ways. So I try and keep my balance for all the elements of my work-life balance always in check. I'm always checking in to see how I'm feeling. If I never get to that point of overwhelm, because I was there, like I told you about my story back in 2011. And I just do not want to go back to that point of emptiness, feeling burnt out, being stressed to the max, and just really not knowing what my next move is going to be, because I didn't have enough energy to even come up with a new thought of what I was going to do, because I was on the edge of that burnout cliff that I called stress.com. And I don't encourage anybody to go there. But the good news is I made some really good decisions and got my life back in check and balance, and I have sustained that. And it's not difficult. But more importantly, when I've had things that have happened in my life, because we all do, you get back up and you get back on track tomorrow. Tomorrow is always a new day and a clean slate. And again, it sounds like a really simple, everyday principle, but it's hard for a lot of people. There's no judgment. It's all about ebbing and flowing and really being true to who you are. And the other thing that I want to leave you with is that it concerns me that many of you do not have any self-care in your life. 1 hour a day. There's 24 hours in a day, and I would like you to gift yourself one of those hours for self-care. Meditation, relaxation, a walk in the park. I don't know what that looks like for you. I'm just framing it to get your mind thinking. For me, I love meditation. I love moving. I love walking. So your meditation could be fitness. It could be yoga. It could be running. It could be just sitting quietly having a cup of coffee. I don't know what it looks like, but I'm hopeful that you are being purposeful in your self-care every day and giving yourself that 1 hour. So my website is debcrow.com, and I welcome you to go there. And I've really enjoyed spending the last 25 minutes with you. There's lots of tips and strategies on my blog at debcrow.com. And there's no topic I don't like to talk about. I think balance encompasses all aspects of our life. And I'm going to give you 10 tips that will hopefully help you develop better habits and turn your life into balance. So get your pens out. Number 1, change your attitude. Mindset's everything. Number 2, start small, one goal at a time. You implement one small goal and you get that into your life, and then the rest it'll just come. Number 3, schedule reminders. Whether you're going to drink water, get up from work, take small breaks, put them in your iPhone or your cell phone, whatever kind it may be. And that is an easy, achievable, quick tip for you to do. Number 4, it's time to say goodbye to your bad habits. You know what they are, so I'm not gonna list any. Number 5 is to bring in support. If you're a young person and you have a family, or you might be a single mom or a widowed person, your friends and family are waiting for you. You just have to ask for the help. Nobody is wearing the red cape and walking around as Superman or Superwoman. So don't feel any less when you have to bring in support. Number 6, be realistic about your expectations. You're making a big life change, so one thing at a time. Number 7, I want you to start for 30 days. 3 weeks develops a habit, but I find if you do 30 days or even 6 weeks consecutive, it's then an adapted lifestyle. Number 8, remember, one habit at a time, because then if you have some difficulty, you'll know where you need to make some modification. Number 9, we just talked about it. Do not forget your self-care. 1 hour a day, and it's like a bank. It's like your bank account. You can't keep withdrawing without depositing, so give back to you every day for an hour. And number 10, you need to reward yourself. So once you've got work-life balance, what are you going to do to reward yourself? Maybe go and have, if you're a lady, a manicure, a pedicure, maybe a 1 hour massage, or maybe dinner with a friend. The other thing I want to challenge you about is, when was the last time that you were really a kid? Think back when you were in grade 2, 3, 7, or 8 years old. What is something that you haven't done since you were a young child? For me, I remember we used to rake leaves and make big piles and jump in them. We had a barn that we used to run and jump in the hay. Just those things that you haven't done in X amount of years. We all have that kid inside of us. You just have to pull him or her back out again. So I'm going to leave you with a couple of things. I would love for you to live well, love much, and laugh often. That is my daily mantra. I try and be kind. I try and be humble. I try to help others, be service of others. And I can tell you, when you're giving of yourself, again, with boundary management, you get it back 15-fold. So thanks so much for joining me. I hope this has been a helpful webinar, if you will, on work-life balance. And remember, it's all about progression, not perfection. And Lucas, I want to congratulate you on your book, and just keep shining your light and being the amazing person you are. So take care, everybody. And any questions, Deb at debcrow.com. Take care.